NMLS number 746401.
Allergy season is here, and our Warner Hospital and Health Services walk-in clinic inside our family medicine is here to help. No appointment, no problem. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties is the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction for fire and water restoration. Find out all the services they provide by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
When weeds and grass put up a fight, do more than fight back. Go for the knockout. The Impact family of corn herbicides are trusted across the nation to go toe-to-toe with tough, yield-robbing grass and broadleaf weeds and come out on top. Plus, with tank mix flexibility and a wide application window, there's an Impact family product that can punch out almost any situation. To knock weeds out, fight with Impact. Explore the entire family of fighters at fightwithimpact.com.
I'm Len Casper, the voice of the White Sox Radio Network. The Sox are right here on 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, WHOW.
Sponsored by Warner Hospital and Health Services, Liberty Village. Love It Once More Thrift Store, Keith Wade, your country financial representative, all in Clinton, and ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties, the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in this segment of the morning show is Dr. Jim LaValle, author of Cracking the Metabolic Code. Dr. Jim, good to talk to you, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you? Got my workout in this morning, so I'm ready to go.
Yep, I got mine here in a few hours. We'll hit the gym and get that in for the day. I've been outside a lot more lately, though, Dr. Jim. The weather up here in Central Illinois has been absolutely spectacular, and I got to be honest, I really wanted to make and put an emphasis on getting more sunlight in this year. We had a really nice weekend. I got outside, mowed the yard, took the kids to the park. We walked some trails and things like that. Did the same yesterday. So let's start there, Dr. Jim, and the importance of sunlight. Why is it so important for us to get some sunlight at some point on these beautiful sunny days we have?
Well, I mean, so at first, it's understanding that when you get into sunlight, so when your eyes see sunlight, it sends a message through your eyes to your brain. And the area of the brain that it sends it to is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Now, I know that's a big, long term, but it's basically the master clock for all of your body. So when you stimulate that suprachiasmatic nucleus with that good morning sunshine, what happens is the clock turns on to start to regulate things like mood and inflammation and blood sugar regulation, stress response. All these things are actually dictated by day and night signaling. And, you know, you have to think about it. Our body kind of gets confused from that, right? If the more north you live, the longer the nights, and then people are more prone for seasonal affective disorder. They don't make as much serotonin when they don't have enough sunlight to get through the day. Mm-hmm. And so, boy, when you start getting sunlight and you can get outdoors, you want to get out there, and the recommendation is basically 20 minutes of sunlight a day. And don't worry about, you can do it for obviously you don't have to worry about your eyes, but you don't have to worry about wearing sunscreen for 20 minutes unless, maybe you've got a history of some sort of skin cancer and you're told you have to wear it. But it's the importance of that sunlight hitting your eyes. It also brings to light the importance of a dark room at bedtime, because you get the same kind of signaling that says it's time to shut down and repair the body. Mm-hmm. The sunlight, from joint pain to mood to blood sugar, it plays an incredible role. The obvious one of vitamin D, but you can't even rely on vitamin D being made by sitting in sun. Mm-hmm. I've had plenty of people where they haven't done that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of the quick rant on why it's so important.
Well, and we'll get to the vitamin D component here in just a minute, but you mentioned that morning sun, Jim, and I was reading an interesting piece yesterday, just a quick little blurb about the importance of that. You know, the sun first comes up, you know, here in Illinois, it's around 6:15, 6:30 lately that the sun comes up. So how about why that morning sun is so important? Like if you can get out and, you know, just sit on the porch, maybe drink your coffee on the porch with a sweatshirt on and take in that morning sun when it's available. Why is that morning sun so important?
Well, once again, what the morning sun is doing is telling your brain, okay, wake up and start to regulate all the processes in your body. So everything that is going on, from telling your body to release insulin, to regulate blood sugar, to telling your body to reduce the amount of inflammatory compounds that are being circulated in your body, that morning sun, our bodies are meant to be daytime beings. And none of us, you know, come out at night and hang in a cave during the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not dark nighttime beings. So no bats. So, you know, that morning sun literally is the most, I would say, primitive and essential thing that our bodies need in order to stimulate the maintenance of health and the way your body's circadian rhythms. So the way the rhythms of your body release all your hormones, all your nutrients, and all of your neurotransmitters that make you feel good.
Mm-hmm. When it comes when it comes to the sunlight, Jim, and you know, just taking a walk around the block with that sun out, or you know, walking, you know, maybe a half a mile, couple of blocks, something of that nature. What does that sunlight do for our bodies beyond just that kind of stimulus piece you're talking about? What are there other benefits? I was reading a thing about, you know, some immunity boosts and you know, like just general things like that. What else does sunlight do for our bodies?
Well, yeah, well, when your body turns off its inflammation signaling, you know, so you wake up, you get the sun, and your brain is processing, it's time to kind of correct matters. By default, when you slow down your metabolic inflammation, you reduce the inflammatory aging process, and that is what's giving your immune system a boost back to being healthy by, you know, not having to fight the inflammatory side of the body. It boosts your immune system. So I think people waking up in the morning, fantastic, getting out, get a little bit of sun. Look, if people could just walk for 21 minutes a day, 5 days a week, now that the sun is out, it can make a huge difference even in their heart disease risk and their diabetes risk.
That's interesting. Dr. Jim LaValle, author of Cracking the Metabolic Code, our guest on the phone for today. Now, so Dr. Jim, you talked about it just briefly there a minute ago. You know, I was under the impression myself, you know, I get out in the sun, I walk 20 minutes, like yesterday, like I said, took the kids to the park. We walked the trails for a half hour, 45 minutes. I would have thought, hey, that's enough vitamin D for the day for me. I don't need to keep, you know, pounding that supplement that's in the you know, collection of pills I take every day. But again, apparently that's not the case. Talk about why perhaps vitamin D isn't like the sun just isn't that sole source of vitamin D we should rely on. How about that?
Well, I mean, I have tested thousands and thousands of people on vitamin D, both for myself and on our cloud-based informatics program, you know, where doctors are using our program. And I can have people that are tan and their vitamin D levels are low. So what you really need to do, and most docs will not question doing a vitamin D anymore. Most docs are kind of hip to the fact that, you know, vitamin D is kind of important and it's good for your immune system. It's good for your signaling for your hormones. Vitamin D is actually a pro-hormone. And it helps your glucose regulation. You know, it helps with your lining of your gut to keep it healthy. So you really should check your vitamin D level. You know, go to your doc and say, hey, doc, I know I got my yearly, you know, blood test, which I hope people are doing. And I need to check my vitamin D. And, you know, I've got my, you know, just a plug. I wrote a book called Your Blood Never Lies. And it actually goes through and explains every lab test and what you can do about it in terms of lifestyle, exercise, nutrients to help keep your blood scores in line. So I really encourage people, don't be afraid of a blood test. The earlier you catch something, even when it's trending, the better. And so vitamin D, you don't want to have a vitamin D down in the, down at the bottom of the barrel. You want to be mid-range, so you want to shoot for a value of about 50 or 55. The range is 30 to 100. You don't need to go gonzo on it and take, I'm going to take tons of vitamin D, right? But you do need to take some if you're low or low normal.
What are some other supplements, Dr. Jim, that we could maybe add to that vitamin D intake? And, like you said, with us off the air, the summertime's coming. Everybody wants to look good for the beach. They want to look tan and fit and all those things. So if we're walking for that 20-25 minute range that you're talking about with us, and we're in the sun in that walk and that sort of thing, we're feeling good. What are some other supplements perhaps we could add that would whether it boost our energy, make us feel better, make us look better? How about some of those things?
Yeah. So, what I love if vitamin D, you're taking vitamin D and it doesn't absorb, you don't see your numbers going up that much. The first thing you want to think about is adding a little bit of vitamin A or taking a little bit of cod liver oil in a capsule. You don't have to do the old cod liver teaspoon and, taste like fish for a day. But you do want to think about a little bit of vitamin A if you're not, absorbing vitamin D that well, because you need vitamin A in order to, absorb vitamin D. So that's one thing. So before we get off the vitamin D tread, the other one is I'm telling you, most people are low in magnesium, and low magnesium is the number one reason for developing metabolic syndrome, which is pre-diabetes and pre-hypertension and gaining weight. When you're pre-diabetic, you start gaining weight. So magnesium to me is really important. So if your back's always tight, and you're having trouble sleeping, and you're having muscle cramps or muscle spasms or restless legs, or just getting tired in the gym, your muscles are getting tired too quick, magnesium is super important. In terms of energy, I really like the adaptogens, which are basically they're botanicals that help your body cope with stress and basically keep your metabolism resilient. So you got what's called metabolic flexibility. So the big adaptogens, everybody's heard of ginseng. Probably the one I like is one called rhodiola. And rhodiola is available at every health food store. It's everywhere. And it's really good because it keeps your heart rate down under exercise, and it improves your cognition. So you actually get better memory from it too. And a lot of people complain of that. And so, and then the third thing would be, if you're somebody that's eating too many carbs, too much sugar, probably want to take a little bit of chromium. Chromium actually helps people to lose weight. Now, what the mistake people make is if they stop losing weight on it, they stop taking the chromium. And what it means really is that the chromium that you're taking helps you lose that amount of weight, right? So you got to keep on top of that, especially if you're not willing to change your diet, which that's the biggest thing people can do, is start to look at their diet and, try to fill that plate with a lot of vegetables, modest amounts of fruits like berries. And then, if they're looking for, the big craze right now, as we talked about the last time we were on, was like the Ozempic craze. And now they're finding out that if all you do is do Ozempic, you end up losing a lot of lean mass instead of losing all the fat mass. So you lose fat, but you lose some of your muscle. And that means your metabolism is going to go, slower. So it's really important for people, if you're out there and you're, using something like Ozempic or Mounjaro, for weight loss, your doctor prescribed it, you want to try and get your lifestyle going to support it. So a lot of people aren't bothering to exercise. Well, how do you maintain muscle mass? With exercise, right? So, getting exercise in, incredibly important. Those are some key takeaways from that. that are incredibly important. And, look, I love aged garlic extract. Probably one of my favorite supplements because there's over 900 publications on aged garlic extract. And it helps everything from helping your insulin receptors to work better, which means you're going to burn fat better. It helps with reducing vulnerable plaque within your arteries. And it helps to maintain healthy blood pressure. So I love aged garlic extract. The brand on that is Kyolic, Kyolic. I really like that supplement because it has so many benefits. It lowers inflammation. It helps your immune system, helps your blood vessels to stay nice and pliable so they expand and contract when they're supposed to. And it helps to really retard plaquing of your arteries. So, that's a biggie.
Sure. Well, Dr. Jim, I'll tell you what, let's take a time out here. We'll come back and talk some more. You mentioned Ozempic. I know, like you said, we touched on that a little bit, but the new things that are coming out about it as well, we'll dive into that at a deeper level as well. Where do folks go to learn about you and find out what you've got going on?
They can go to jimlavelle.com or metabolicCode.com.
Sure. Dr. Jim LaValle, author of Cracking the Metabolic Code, our guest on the phone. More to come with Dr. Jim here on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Did you know our full-service automotive detail shop started with just one employee? This is Scott Baum. At Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton, we can't take the credit for the great ideas that have helped us grow. In fact, it's the employees and customers who've supported our full-service offerings, such as their service, parts, collision, detail, quick lube, and towing departments. For transportation, if you need it, we offer it. Just part of our commitment to providing you great service. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
When is the last time you considered your pet's oral health? Hi, this is Dr. Seuster at Covenant Animal Clinic in Clinton. A pet's dental health is vitally important to their overall health. Learn about our dental services by clicking the Covenant Animal Clinic icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
By leveraging sustainable carbon management solutions like Navigator CO2's Heartland Greenway, ethanol facilities can make substantial progress toward carbon reduction objectives. Learn more on how they're partnering with ethanol producers across the Corn Belt. Click their icon at IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
Around Illinois, communities are seeing the benefits of harvesting the wind. In a recent study released by Power Up Illinois, clean energy projects have paid over $300 million in property taxes statewide today, over $53 million within McLean County alone, helping build new school facilities, improve roads, and keep the tax burden off local property owners. Apex Clean Energy is a leading developer of wind and solar, partnering with major companies like Cargill to bring investment to local farming communities. Let's harvest wind together.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the phone this morning, Dr. Jim LaValle, author of Cracking the Metabolic Code, our guest here for today. And Dr. LaValle, you talked about the Ozempic stuff there, and like you mentioned, we talked about that last time you were on the program with us. How about just that craze in general? Remind us what's going on there, and maybe a little bit of the science behind it.
Sure. So, half of the adult population in the U.S. is either insulin resistant or they're diabetic. You got about 37% of the population being insulin resistant. And we've got, about 80% of the population is overweight. And it's right now the trend is 50% of the U.S. population will be obese by 2030. And so Ozempic, which the name of it is semaglutide, is a peptide. And what a peptide is it's a chain of amino acids smaller than a protein. And your body makes peptides. So where the real, evolution in what's going on in the pharmaceutical industry is that they're looking at more and more peptides, because what they are is they're signal substances to tell your body to do things that it's lost the ability to do. And so therefore you tend to get less side effects, with the category of peptides. I just wrote a book for healthcare professionals on peptide therapies. And so, what's happening is when you use Ozempic, you're improving the way your body regulates glucose and insulin. Now, why that's a problem is then when you start to make more insulin, when you're insulin resistant, you store fat. You store fat like really good, And so you have people that, man, I'm exercising, I'm watching my diet, I'm getting my sleep, and the scale is not budging for me. And I know there's plenty of people out there listening that have felt that way. And so, what's happened is that everyone's discovered that this drug that's typically used for people with diabetes actually can be used in weight loss. So doctors are prescribing these peptides to try to help people to lose weight. The problem is, it's like everybody wants the silver bullet, right? And so when someone is just doing semaglutide, and look, it helps people to manage their glucose and their insulin, that's going to reduce their overall risk, right? Because when you're diabetic, you're more prone for heart disease, peripheral vascular disease, and blindness, and all kinds of problems happen when you're diabetic, pre-diabetic, because you kind of got more inflammation going on in your body than you should. So there's no doubt that this drug has value. But the big, I guess the big controversy right now that broke this last week is that they're finding that people are losing a lot of their muscle when they do it. And the issue with that, of course, is, muscle is the currency of aging. The more muscle you can maintain as you age, the healthier you're going to be. So, what you really need to do if you're going to do something like using Ozempic and not succumb to this piece where people are just losing excessive weight and they're losing fat pads in their face, and they call it the Ozempic face, is you've got to develop healthy habits that go with it, like changing your eating pattern, like exercising, so that you can maintain as much lean mass as possible while you're using it. Now, there's no doubt you do have to watch, like some people lose weight really fast on it. And the big problem with that is you can develop, gallstones, you can develop kidney stones. So, and, nobody wants that. And so it's really important that, people understand that, yes, this is going to help you to, get your glucose and insulin under control, which I think is our number one epidemic. We eat too much, we eat too often, we eat too late. We pick the wrong foods, and then we don't move enough. And then we don't get enough sleep. And when you start out from there, if you're not changing those things, now the big thing when you use the categories, called the GLP-1 agonists, so semaglutide being the first one, tirzepatide is the new one that's out.
Sure. Hey, Dr. Jim, I don't mean to cut you off. I do need to let us go here to hit the bottom of the hour. Where do folks go to learn more about maybe your writings on this and other things you have going on?
JimLaValle.com.
Dr. Jim LaValle, author of Cracking the Metabolic Code, is my guest on the phone for this morning. Network news on the way on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. The U.S. Supreme Court is poised to rule on abortion pill restrictions while a lawsuit continues. An investigation now underway following a deadly parking garage collapse in New York City's financial district. One person was killed, 5 others injured in the collapse. Out on